Talmud says that 10 measures of beauty descended on the world, and 9 of them were taken by Jerusalem. But not many people know that the beauty of Jerusalem even extends underground. This marvelous place called Zedekiah's Cave lies beneath the city of Jerusalem. Like many other sites, it was rediscovered by accident.
In the winter of 1854, James Turner Barclay, a scholar living here in Jerusalem, researching the area, walks out of the city with his dog and his son. They go out on a stroll, and suddenly the dog disappears. Going to search for the dog, he walks towards the walls of the old city, and suddenly he hears barking. And the rain that came down that day cleared a small hole. He looks inside, and there he finds the dog all the way down in the cave. And he returns back to the city and comes back the next day dressed like a local and waits for the gates of the city to close. And they come with torches and they start exploring this cave. Once they start exploring, he goes and notifies his friends, scholars from the Palestine Exploration Fund, who come here and start researching the cave.
The discovery of the cave sparked the imagination of scholars and explorers. Some associate the cave with King Solomon's quarries, suggesting it was used to produce stones for his kingdom. But the earliest remains from the cave are linked to the Second Jewish Temple period.
A few years later, 1873, Charles Clermont-Ganneau, an archaeologist, discovers a winged animal that we have over here, a mythological animal with wings and a face and a tail, something that reminds him of an Assyrian a mythological animal or a cherub. And based on that, they date the cave to the First Temple period. The creature itself, the stone with it, was cut out and is now sitting in the British Museum.
The name Zedekiah's Cave refers to the last of the Judean kings who fled Jerusalem as it lay besieged by the Babylonians, a story recounted in the Bible, chapter 37 of the book of Jeremiah.
Spring behind me, known as Zedekiah's Tears, actually goes to the legend behind the name of the cave, Zedekiah's Cave. Zedekiah is the last king of Judah, and according to the story, he's caught by the Babylonians. But how does that happen? Him and his entourage are fleeing the city. And the legend goes that they hide, or they kind of make their way out through a cave. And 2 Babylonian soldiers who are searching for him above the cave are actually suddenly distracted by a gazelle. They start running after this gazelle. They're probably hunting, looking for lunch. And as they make their way and almost catch the gazelle all the way down by Jericho, they suddenly see the king and his entourage coming out. That's how he's caught. Now, this is a legend, and probably at least several hundreds of years ago, or even earlier, this cave gets the name Zedekiah's Cave. Maybe this is the cave that he runs through and hides through the city. If it makes logic and sense, we're not 100% sure, but that's definitely where the name comes from. King Zedekiah is taken to Babylon, where his children are slaughtered in front of his eyes, and then his eyes are gouged out. And that's where we get the name for this spring, the tears of King Zedekiah, who's still crying for his lost kingdom and his family.
The cave is also associated with King Herod, who built some of the most magnificent structures during the 1st century BCE.
By examining the walls, we now realize that if you look all the way in the ceiling, there's actually chisel marks. Using iron, that already takes us to the Second Temple period. We understand that this is a huge quarry, used probably by Herod's workers, the masons in Jerusalem, building the Second Temple in Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, using the stones quarried from here. We're now looking at the Queen Stone and the Jerusalem stone, which is divided to, or is made up from different rocks. The Queen Stone is easy to cut out, and once it comes in touch with the elements, with air, it hardens and is really the best stone to work. They're following here a vein of a stone all the way under the old city, and as the cave deepens down, they follow it, and we actually see the marks that they leave behind as they cut out the stones. Geologically tested, the stones of the Western Wall have the same qualities as the stone over here. Hence, we understand this is the quarry where they take the stones out.
Little is known about the activity in the cave after the destruction of Jerusalem, following the Great Jewish Revolt of the 1st century CE. But recent excavations in the cave unearthed some surprising discoveries from the Crusader era. This part of the cave is closed to the public and is still being researched.
We're standing in the lower level of the cave. We just entered under the visitor floor, and in the excavations that have been going on here in the recent years, Israeli Antiquity Authority stumbles upon a wall inside the cave with windows, with a doorway. The wall is dated to the 12th century, the days of the kingdom, the Crusader kingdom of Jerusalem. The Templars located on the Temple Mount. Maybe this is a hiding way out of the city, a secret tunnel. What exactly is going on here is still a mystery. Hopefully, we'll continue excavating and find some more answers for that.
During the 16th century, the cave was sealed up by Suleiman the Magnificent, the Ottoman leader who was afraid of infiltration to the city by his enemies. The cave was closed for more than 300 years. Its rediscovery is associated with another famous group, the Freemasons.
The Palestine Exploration Fund, the group who comes here and explores the cave, many of them are members of the Freemasons. What would be a better place than a cave that they date to the days of the first temple, to the first Mason, the patron, King Solomon. That's where the name Solomon's Quarries comes from. And we see as we walk through the cave, the pillars behind me, left to support the ceiling of the cave. And as we walk down here to the cave, the Freemasons use this hall that we're standing in as the gathering place. And like in the entrance to any lodge of the Freemasons, there are two pillars going back to Solomon's temple, Yachin and Boaz. And when we look closer at the pillars, we'll actually examine and see that each pillar is marked as Yachin and Boaz, bringing us into the cave. A few more features that are part of the story here of the Freemasons are on the walls. We can see different hooks that are used for hanging the lamps, and this is where the ceremonies of the Freemasons take place until this day.
Another tradition in Zedekiah's cave is the charcoal engraved graffiti. We can find here texts in English, Hebrew, Arabic, and even Aramaic. Though some see it as pure vandalism, it certainly adds more mystery to the already enigmatic cave.
One interesting name down here I can point out is of Baruch Katinka. Baruch Katinka, a Mason, a Freemason, actually a building contractor, one of the famous builders here in Jerusalem, is probably one of the last people to take stones from the cave for building. He builds the YMCA building in Jerusalem on the King David Street. He uses stones from here from the cave. He also built the train station in Jerusalem, Beersheba, the Palace Hotel where the Waldorf Astoria is today, and he's one of the people who leaves their name here on the cave.
Today, Zedekiah's cave is mostly used as a tourist site and an event hall, but going down into the heart of the caverns, far down from the crowded city, you can listen carefully to the heartbeats of the Holy Land.